Like,
there you go.
Yeah,
The
I got
art of
things,
keeping
yeah.
snakes.
Mhm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 521 of Morelia Python Radio. In this episode, we're going to be talking about, this is book number 3, I believe, right? We
Yep.
did Secret Social Life of Reptiles. What other one did we do?
We
Maybe
did the
this
Blue
is
Bible,
2?
didn't we?
Oh, the Blue Bible. Yeah. Wait, I think. I don't remember.
I don't remember. I think
We're going
we
with
were
3.
going to do the Blue Bible, and then we ended up just speaking to him. So
Yeah.
Does
that count?
We did Stolen World. You weren't here for that. We did Stolen World too. Yeah. Okay.
I knew there was another one.
Yeah.
This is episode 3. It's the art of keep. What's up, everybody? Yeah, we did, Alex. We did Stolen World a while back. The Art of Keeping Snakes. By Philippe de Vosjoli. Man, this book is way ahead of its time, in my opinion. It came out in 2004. I remember I bought this book at a pet shop in Philadelphia, thinking like, oh my God, this is the coolest book ever. Because, you know, at the time, we'll get into it, it was sort of like, I think he refers to it as the LAM method, LAM method in the book. But this is way before bioactive and natural enclosures and all that kind of stuff. But
quarantine, proper quarantine procedures. Yeah.
So it's a great book if you're like wanting to get into to keeping snakes. And so like I said, it came out in 2004, and I really believe that this book influenced me, and I didn't know it. But fast forward to today, and I see more people that embrace this style, but back then in 2004, it was really not the way that people kept snakes. I think the people's ideas of snakes and what they needed and all that kind of stuff.
It goes against the minimalistic thing that a lot of us learned when we came in. Like it was always paper, water bowl, hide. That was it. And this was kind of like, well, if you want to go the other way and like build vivariums or build a really cool setup or, you know, have fun with your snakes, because at one point it even goes into like which ones are the best for display, in my opinion. It's like, okay, all right.
So and guess what snake's in there? There's
weird,
2
right?
Morelia.
2 Morelia in there. And only because
I've said
rough scale could have been in here, you know.
I don't think rough scales were a thing back then, were they?
I don't think they've been a thing for millions of years. They a thing in herpetoculture.
I know that.
Yeah.
But I don't.
I think they were. They're like Owen Pellies now. It's like they're here, but people gloss over them because like 2 dudes have them. Like it's like, all right, yeah.
So I don't know. I always thought that carpet python breeders, Morelia breeders don't promote enough that they're such amazing display animals. And there's more to them than just breeding them. Yes, that's great, and that's all good and all that stuff. I'm not downplaying that, but I think for your average person that may just want to keep a pet, carpet pythons can fit into there. Rhino rats were in there. What other species were in there?
He had a thing on. There was a Chinese
blue beauties.
Yeah, there was a Chinese king rat, but I think that was just showing it like on eggs in the breeding section. So I don't think they make great display animals.
you might argue with that.
They're horrible creatures.
Listen, Philippe.
I have never
to talk about this.
When I got my pair, Rob's like, why would you get a thing called like a what is it, like a stinking goddess or whatever like that? Like, why would you do this? Why would you do this to yourself? And I'm like, it's fine. And they have been fantastic. I paired them several days ago, and my mail was in his bin, and I'm like, oh, hey, buddy. And I pick him up, and he decides he's having none of this. And he extends himself to his full length of 7 feet now that I have totally misjudged everything for. And I have him by one hand, and then I have to grab his vent by the other hand because now he's just spraying. And I'm like, great. This is what Rob was warning me about.
Oh, that's terrible.
And the problem is that the female's cage is above my head. So I'm like, oh God. Like it's like fighting a fire hose as you get it up. And then he goes in.
Oh, wow.
They were locked up within 5 minutes, and they've been locked up several times over the past 2 days. But it's like, okay, new cages for the Chinese rats. New cages, lower cages. Like it's hack bingo, but it's I would say that they're probably not on the list. If they are, I disagree highly. But blue beauties, I think, would be great on the list. Mandarin rat snakes, I think, should be on here. So
yeah, Richard was saying about this was around the time the saltwater aquariums were moving full speed into live rock and so-called aquascape tanks. So this book may have been influenced by that.
It's not that much of a difference doing a vivarium and setting it up, getting it planted, and having a cool display thing. And I think if you don't have some kind of display cage, tank, whatever in your room and you're into reptiles, you are kind of like doing yourself a little bit of a disservice, because it is so much fun. It is
missing part of it.
So it is so much fun just watching. I'll come down in the morning. I'll be sitting there with my morning coffee on a Saturday, and the light will turn on and the rhinos start coming out. And I'm like, yeah, they are. It's like, yeah, that would just it's awesome.
There are no lights on when I wake up, man.
Well, that's because you're like 4 a.m. time to make the donuts. It's like, I mean,
yes. Yeah, we were supposed to do the show last night, but I had an issue at the job, so I had to move it to tonight. Oh yeah, 2 nights ago. I forget what happened. The first
Melissa kept going like, "Show been pushed back." She's like, "When do you two do the show?" I'm like, "I don't know."
Typically we record on Mondays, but that hasn't been working out
anymore.
So well.
I come when Eric calls. Like it is.
No, I did get I did do a thing, and I got a wild caught male IJ.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
we were talking about that.
It came on Monday, and
they do have rats in here under the section of, and it says right
here,
right? It's the stinking goddess rat snake. Why? That's not a good display animal. I mean, it's pretty, but no. Just, I mean, maybe it's a good display animal because then you don't have to touch it. Like it's kind of like that's where he's going with it.
Yeah. How is it? How is the IJ? Good. Yeah. Great. Beautiful. I settled in.
Add to the pile.
Got him in quarantine.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited about wild caught ones.
What plans do we have with this wild caught male? Like what females do we have potentially lined up?
To be honest, I'd like to get a female and sort of, breed a wild caught pair of carpets. I think would be pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
I had 2 females the last time Dan had them come in, but I lost them because I couldn't get them to eat, man. Yeah. And they didn't like lose weight, but yeah, I don't know. They just with imports, that's just how it goes.
Oh yeah, I am aware of that. Yeah. Yes, I am. Yes.
To breed it and then burk it. Yes.
Burk it.
Yes.
Yep. I actually so I busted out the ultrasound this weekend, or actually it was 2 days ago when we canceled the first time. I busted out the ultrasound with Melissa because I'm like, well, we're gonna figure out if we have some gravid, if we're expecting from some gravid females, and I was able to confirm 4 carpets are gravid. And then
what do we got? What are we looking at?
Looking at the caramel jag head axanthic is gravid to a caramel head axanthic. My pos head axanthic tiger is gravid to my pos head axanthic tiger.
Nice.
The caramel head albino is gravid.
Nice.
It's so stupid. And then my jungle carpet to the zebra jag that you produced. So that's the 4. And then
the red one?
The red one.
Okay.
So then my Crebo is also gravid, my unicolor. And then the I ultrasounded the Xanic, my head Xanic female, and it looked like there were some egg-shaped things in there, but they weren't as large and they weren't as like bright as the ones we had before. So I'm like, clearly this is an ovulation. So I pulled the tiger poshead Xanic and chucked it in with her, and they were locked up this morning. So it's like this animal that I've been trying to breed for the past like couple of years, apparently now it's just a later animal. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't.
Next time we're doing the Ruffy. She looks huge.
Richard got wild caught female chondro eggs. Wow, that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah, season's just pushing along. No major stuff. I've been sort of like doing it, but not doing it. I it's like one of those things. I think I may have waited too long. I don't know, man. You've rubbed off on me.
You're what? You're thinking too much.
Yeah, I'm just.
You're overthinking it. You're overthinking it. Just do what you would normally do. I don't want to remember what that was. Yeah, all right. So, but
that is Robert. I'm like, wait a minute. I got it.
I did sit down and write out all the pairs for the season because I'm like, I know I was doing a lighter season, and I wrote it all out, and I'm like, okay, 33 pairings. Yes, you're definitely doing lighter this year. You have one more pairing than you did last year, you moron. So yeah.
Whew. Do you still have babies left over?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
Of course. They don't sell out. I mean,
what a silly question.
I mean, I also haven't been taking pictures and posting them, which I'm gonna have to do soon. But yeah, I mean, I got to do that and put them all in Morph Market. The carpets, the Mad Hogs, the olives, the white lips, they all have to go up. But
the olive I got from you is doing great.
Good.
So yeah, eating, biting.
Good.
Feisty little son of a
bitch.
Before
they
we
came
get
out mean this year.
I know. Holy shit! I'm like, wow, is this what Owen's always talking about when I'm sending him mean snakes?
Yeah, this is what it's like.
Yeah. Before we get into the book and dive into it, I wanted to. I did. Yeah, but I did see that Roberts. I saw that in person. Holy shit, that IJ is nice. Anyway, I saw an article on a paper. They were talking about the spider ball python. Did you see this? I didn't get to read it in depth.
Was it the development of the inner ear might have fucked with them for a little bit?
Yeah.
I didn't read the whole thing. I just read that part, and I'm like, well, that's odd. And that probably makes some sense. And I bet you if you look close at a jag, you'd see the same thing.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean,
you have to.
I think we'll maybe talk about that on Carpets and Coffee when we have the science guy with us.
Where's that science child?
Where's he at?
Yeah.
The Woma master.
Yeah.
Holy shit,
dear
man.
God,
he's making
dude.
Some beautiful Womas.
Drowning in freaking Woma eggs. Like every other week, he's like, "Oh no, more Womas." And I'm like, "What?"
I'm not going to spill the beans on him, but he had a specific person that kind of asked him.
Oh my God, dude!
It's like, holy shit.
I don't do wait. I don't do wait lists.
Snake for me. I was like, what?
Yeah, listen, I don't do wait lists, but if that person were to email me, he could jump. There's a list now. So
yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah. Welcome, man. I'm going to pair the one you gave me. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Robert threw me off. He's CK's Kaz Reptile Lab, and that's Robert. I was like, who's this guy that wants to do a breeding lab?
Asshole.
I
don't even know who the hell you are, sir. Yeah.
So, get ready for some.
It might be Robert, or that might be somebody trying to pose as Robert. We'll have to ask him questions that only Robert would know. So
yeah,
we'll think of those later.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you think of this book as reading? I mean, you didn't remember this book from back in the day, right?
I do not remember this book from back in the day. This is one of the ones that I was over at your house and you're like, there's this book, and then there's this book, and then there's this book. And I'm like, and it was one of the ones that I got in the car, and I'm like, and there's oh, there is that book order. Like, and it was one of those, like, it popped up on one of the because if you follow, there's a bunch of Facebook groups and people you can follow. You can follow the local reptile show book guy, like on his Facebook page. And then you can, like, when they have books, they put them up, and all you have to do is send him like a picture of the book that he posted and be like, I want this one. And
is that Mike Kirk?
Yep.
Books?
Yep.
Yeah,
And he's
I
like
that guy.
I send him a message. I'm like, hey man, I want this one. And he goes, cool. This still a good address? I'm like, it is. And then I just PayPal him and it's done. And then
it's great.
He actually does, he calls them library building collections, where he's like, these all books pertain to Australian animals. Like, these 12 books, you can have them all for $25. And it's like, well, shit. Like, and that's what you do. So this was on his page under like Australia stuff like that after I was over there with you. And I'm like, art of snake keeping, bye. Like, and it was one of those. So I had it, and I did kind of go through it when I bought it or when it arrived. And then I think I got distracted because I never actually finished it. And then you were like, let's do this one. I'm like, yes, let's. And then I'm like rereading and then continued reading. So yeah.
I mean, you know, so I mean, when I got that book back in 2004, I was, you know, kind of feeling my way of getting back into reptiles. You know, at that point, I guess I had back in reptiles for about 4 or 5 years. But like I said, you know, people that's sort of when you saw a lot of the rack stuff, and you know, it was just different from when I was a kid, and you kept things in those big aquariums with the slate bottom. And
that weighed 250 pounds, and you had to build everything yourself. So.
You had to build like the screen top, and then put like books on it or bricks on it. Or like your weights that, you know. 25-pound.
That's the reason you go to the garage sale that somebody's having down the streets and get 25-pound dumbbells. But this is like, so there's that. And then also there's a website called thriftbooks.com where you can go on and you can select books that you're interested in or that you're looking for. And then when they get them for you, they'll have them on sale. And then also when you purchase books from them, you get a certain kind of like a credit back. So then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you've earned like a free book. And I think I bought a couple books over there, and then I want to say, Living in Cold Blooded, I got for free from Thrift Books because I had bought a couple books, and they're like, hey, do you want these? I'm like, I do. So a lot of times you can get, like, I think some of the ones back there that I have are, I think Mark O'Shea's book back there is a former library book that
I see that a lot. I do get
that somebody bought or something like that. There's a lot of places you can get kind of like some really cool reptile related books and things like that. And you can go nuts with them. Like they're just building. We don't all have a giant library like some where you just leave stacks of books all over the place.
Like the stack right down there.
Slowly building.
So, I mean, you know, if you're just getting into snakes, it does have some information that's like, you know, as far as quarantine introductions, it talks about like what the idea of the whole book is, you know, that kind of thing.
This should be the thing that they sell you when you're going to get a new snake. Like if you go to like a pet store and you buy a king snake, they should sell you this, not like the thin 4 pieces of paper that says how to take care of your king snake. This, like, it 100%. Goes into things like stuff that we never really kind of took into account, like hygiene. Like it's like, hey, don't let your snakes run around your fucking room, because if you do that, they can pick up on bacteria and parasites and stuff like that. Like, don't do that. And I'm like, that's an obvious question, but then like that's obvious, but then you watch various YouTube channels and the snakes all over the place.
Right.
It's like you have to watch for that kind of stuff. Also, disinfect your tools. You know, your probing kits, your hooks, your clamps, everything.
Yeah. I you know, I think it said that the purpose of the book was introduce the reader to the cutting edge of naturalistic vivarium methods, right? So this
Yeah.
was like before bioactivity. I think I'm assuming that it was a thing before this,
Well,
right? Because I
of
would
course it
assume
was.
that dart frogs people at that point had that
Well, it started
setups and
with
stuff.
it started in other things. I mean, obviously it started here, or it started with plants, or it was always started somewhere, and then someone thought about using it in this setting, and then it
Mhm.
worked. So yeah, you're right. Dart frog vivarium, gecko vivarium, zoological facility vivariums, and things like that, setting up enclosures and that kind of stuff. So it's just that people need to be told that it's not as hard as they think it is.
Yeah, I think again, never being exposed to anything like that
Yeah.
in those days, I I sort of I don't know, I sort of was intimidated by it a little bit, the whole
Hmm.
bioactive layering of substrates to get into. I think like his idea though is like he said something like snakes are also like he referred to them as mobile art. They display
Yeah.
grace, economy of movement, precise muscular coordination. They don't
Hmm.
run, walk, hop. Instead, they're like moving lines that S and zigzags glides through the landscape or something like that is what he said.
And it's also, he kind of just like, I mean, obviously, so my thing is always like, well, if you're not going to do paper, you're going to do mulch.
Right.
But he mixes for his soil thing. It's like peat moss, potting soil, sand, and bark.
Yep.
Like he mixes all that together. Um, yeah, orchard bark and fired clay. So it all mixes together to make a really good substrate. It's like, so it's one of those things where it's not, people are expecting an easy fix when it comes to a lot of things,
Mhm.
where sometimes you may have to, I need to do what all day today? Mix dirt so that I can have the proper dirt for all the snakes to shit on. Like, and that's what you got to do sometimes.
Right.
And, it is the next step. It's beyond that. We've talked about it where I used to just do straight up newspaper, and you're like, listen, get the paper on the roll that you tear. And I'm like, this is fucking genius. So the next step above that is mulch. And then the step above that is mixing your own dirt. Like,
Yes.
there are
Well,
phases you go through.
I think that's what sort of getting into monitors a little bit has taught me is like
Yeah.
it's really mixing that dirt is kind of like important, right? For overall for them, for I think this was the first time I've ever saw the word enriched environments, right?
Yeah.
So I think that he talks about it as zoos were like kind of work.
So,
I don't
yeah.
know the history, but I'm assuming that they were working on this back then. But I think even back then it was sort of like fought and still proceeds to today for someone is that snakes are not really
They're getting better because, like,
yeah.
I will say that it was originally like snakes are snakes. They're not very
Yeah.
intelligent. They're getting
They
better. And
don't
also,
move.
yeah,
They don't yeah.
zoological stuff is getting better. And also, enrichment for the reptiles is definitely getting better. Like, we went from, you got the only way we can deal with the crocodiles if we, strap it to a thing and haul its ass out and beat on it, and then we'll eventually give it its food. Now it's like we click the clicker or we blow the whistle and the alligator comes to its station, and then we tell it to present its tail and we stick it in the back and it doesn't do anything. We draw up the blood and we're out of here. The alligator isn't restrained. It's not all that. It's all that kind of stuff. So, with reptiles, especially snakes, it was one of those, we added a fun plant that this snake seems
Right.
to like, or we added
Right.
a tree branch, and it's moving more towards that. It started with we gave it a stick. Now it's
Right.
that we a tree,
Right.
like, and it will keep moving. I mean, obviously, lizards, crocodilians, turtles, stuff like that, they got more quicker, but snakes, it is coming, to where they'll have the enrichment of, we gave it this kind of a rock or this kind of a thing, or we designed the enclosure so that these small pancake tortoises have a series of ramps that they can climb all the way up to the top here. Like, it's
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think in the beginning he was sort of talking about the challenge that he was trying to meet or the challenge he was trying to fix was meeting the needs of the species
Hmm.
and at the same time creating a functional habitat.
Right.
and then making it aesthetically appealing to people. And that's where that's sort of would you say like a bonsai plant? It's sort of like that kind of mind thinking, like taking care of.
It's exactly saltwater tank thing.
Yeah.
You need to make it. You need to make sure that all your little fishies are going to live. That's
right.
one. Two, you have to make sure that they all have their own little things, because these fish over here might want to hide in a cave, and these ones might want to constantly swim around, or these ones like this. So you have to change that. And then you have to make sure it looks all nice. Otherwise, you just have a tank filled with a bunch of PVC tubes. Like if you go to any kind of store that deals in exotic fish, like saltwater store, they have the eels and the morays and they have all that stuff. But then they have them with a bunch of PVC tubes because they like to hide in caves. So you've checked the box. It has the correct salt water, it has the correct temperature, it has food, and it has a place to hide. But is it aesthetically pleasing? No. So it's when I take it home and put it in my giant lavish saltwater tank that has its own makeshift eel cave and stuff in there, that's what makes it aesthetically pleasing. So we, as reptile keepers and snake keepers, get to the point of functionality, but very few do we take the next step, which is making it pretty. So
yeah, I guess like functionality would be like using paper towel holders for hides,
or even the functionality is paper, tube, paper, cardboard tube, water bowl. Functionality. I think the snake will live, breed, do everything in that kind of a setup, but is it aesthetically pleasing?
I think the other thing that was interesting, I think Lisa was in the chat. That was awesome. But she was saying something about learning the natural history. What did she say? Teaches you to learn about the animal's natural history. Then encourages experimentation. It teaches you to be open-minded. But I think, like if you had, I'm trying to think of a species that would burrow into the substrate, right? Something that would be waiting, like an ambush type of thing. I think it would be more towards like a colubrid, right? Maybe like a hognose would do that.
Or you could even go if you have vipers or
vipers,
venomous or I mean, a little bit too much burrowing is if you had a sand boa. I mean, that they don't come out. Like it's.
Right. I guess the point of it, what I was trying, a sand boa would kind of be it, right? You're going to have it. Well, even I don't think Borneos would be the same way, but like you think about, I think about Matt's setups, right? He's using paper, but he's also got those big, huge tubs inside of the cage so that they can get inside that to sort of give them the feel of burrowing into something, right? I mean, so he's using the paper
as a way of makeshift for him.
To maintain the collection that he has, but at the same time, he's somehow, I mean, it's not going to be aesthetically pleasing per se, right? It's not going to be as nice if you had like a big trunk and
if you had like a makeshift hollow trunk that you could see inside, no shit. But
right.
But could you imagine, like, I was thinking about it reading this because they had a little section about hognose, and then they were also talking about certain plants. And he's like, when getting cactus, make sure to not get the ones with the pricks. And I'm like, no shit, like get a needleless cactus. Duh. But it's like
put that in there just in case, because you never
know. I see the point. But all I kept thinking about is, man, if I could recreate a tank that kind of had the same kind of like feel that Arizona had, like the sandy substrate, the little patch of grass here, the cactus over here, and some rocks, and then get some Mexican hognose in there. I mean, like they would have a ball. Like that would be great. Right. So
I think that's why I've said in the past, you would hear me say things like, I think that like a lot of like enclosures that we were using where you're these elaborate setups and all, like part of that is for the keeper.
Of course.
I still believe
the snake didn't give a shit. Like it is
because they could be just as happy in a paper towel roll as opposed to, and like I think about all the times that we find snakes on garbage piles. Like
I mean, yes,
the rattlesnakes we found in that in Arizona that were in those piles of garbage, like,
They're
or
like,
when we
it's like
talked
a
to,
carpet pythons in, like, I know it was the diamond pythons in Walmart. Like, it can be happy in the
yeah,
minimalistic setup, but it kind of adds to it because, like, if you're really interested in this species, this animal, and maybe you go out and try to find it in the wild, then now you kind of want to recreate that at home.
right,
And then
right.
maybe you start getting really interested in the plant life that are in that area so that you can
I've
kind of plug that stuff in too.
I've gone down that road.
And then you're like, oh my God, I could plant this and I could have this. Like, I know you're trying to plant a eucalyptus forest in your backyard. I mean, it's not going to work,
Yeah.
but
PA might frown upon it.
I mean, maybe it just might be difficult, is what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah. Well, with the new puppies, I don't think
I
I'm
mean, I
growing
don't know.
anything
Yeah.
anytime soon. you know,
Horrible little ankle biters.
yeah, it's like having kids again, man. Again, it's
yeah,
like having kids. Yeah, this is a past life.
Yeah, this is. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I was just sort of like I said, when I read this book, I was sort of really intrigued by the idea, and I found it interesting of his like ability to see that so far back then, to today, where we see like I think herpetoculture in general for snakes has like made a push forward. I see it going in a positive direction.
Mhm.
Sense textures. Yeah, I suppose.
It does. I
I
mean, of
guess when
course it
I'm
does.
saying that they don't care, like I mean, I don't know. Are they going to care that they're
They're still going to
in
eat,
a rock hide
breed
as opposed to a?
plastic rock hide.
I mean,
Yeah, or a
well,
minimalistic shout.
yeah,
Well,
or like one of those little black hides or a paper towel holder or an elaborate rock setup that you made. I
and
think
also, you're
I think
not going to sit there and say that, well, this snake is clearly depressed just because it's living on paper and has a cardboard tube. It's still going to act like a snake.
so. My thinking has always been that snakes seem to want to cram into the tightest spots, right?
Oh yeah,
And like
that's where they feel
I
secure.
used to in the early days of having hides and stuff, you would have these big hides to where the snake's body was never coming in contact with that hide when they're on the inside.
Mm.
So I heard a couple people, I guess, from talking to people on MPR for years, it's sort of like that came up a lot, to where they would say, they like to be crammed in. They want to feel they're squished in there, right? And
Mhm.
I think if you start to think about that we would find that absolutely, well, especially me, because I have like claustrophobia. I would find that like that would be terrible.
That's hell. All right,
But
yeah.
I just think that they want to feel, and they use it all the time. Whether or not they care on what it is kind of like what I'm getting at, right? If a snake is in the wild, at least my experience has been, when they're in the wild, they're not like, oh, that's the trash pile, I'm not going there. They're looking for temperature, they're looking for security, they're looking for certain things, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean that if it's a trash pile or a rock pile, I mean, kind of getting the same thing. But I do understand what you're getting at, but I don't know. I think part of that though is come on, man, let's face it. Like all of us would love to have these zoo exhibits when you walk into your reptile room.
Oh yeah.
I don't even think, like, if it was possible, the people that like keep in like rack systems or stuff like that, I can't really say for the ball python world, because I don't know whether that's accurate or not. But let's just say for like the carpet python people that keep in like, say like a cage like this behind there, like we do, where it's sort of like a hybrid of both. You can't tell me that if we had the resources, the space, and whatever, that we wouldn't have like carpet python cages with trees in it and all kinds of shit,
yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Come on,
Oh yeah. 100%. It would be definitely like that. So
yeah. Yeah. There you go. I didn't know that. Okay. I'll put that up there. How do you say that?
Not even going to try. But
you're going to leave it up to me?
Yeah, I am. That's on you, buddy.
Big Mo Tactic. Thigmotactic is a name for creatures that want to be able to feel the sides of their hides. That's my experience with carpets. Well, I would say probably with pythons in general, right?
Yeah, any snake.
Yeah.
I have that
Even
one,
like your colubrids and stuff.
Yeah, I have the one Baird's that she doesn't like. They have a bridge in there because their cages are 1x1s, and I think it's a little bit too small for them. So I have these bridges so that they can go, and now they actually have like almost like a 2 to 3 foot cage. And she stays in the bridge. So she's got to hide, but it's a little bit too big for her. So what she likes to do is cram herself into the bridge. So you'll see coils sticking out of both ends of the bridge because she's crammed herself into that tube. So that's where she likes to go.
Gotcha.
If she gets a little bit bigger, she'll probably start using the hide box a little bit more. So,
yeah. I've even had it to where they split the paper towel.
It bursts in half. Yep. I will use I put a hanging plant in with my rhino this past year, and the female would not leave the hanging plant. Like, she loved this hanging plant to the point where the hanging plant died, like, because I couldn't like properly water it and stuff. But I'm like, that's where she's going to put her eggs. I know that's where she's going to put her eggs. And sure enough, she put them right in there. She spun around, dug out a hole in the dirt, and put them right in that plant. So
really,
yeah, I'm waiting for this year because there's always going to be that like springtime, and here's hanging ferns and shit like that you can hang on your porch till it's dead. I'm waiting for those to drop like in spring. I'm gonna get a really nice size big hanging plant for her this year because I want her to be able to put them in and be comfortable in there. So but I have like a fake thing in there right now, but she's just crammed up in the hide with the male all winter. That's usually what they do. So yep.
Yeah, you've made me laugh because my neighbor, right? She has these beautiful ferns that she always has out back, and I'm like, how do you take care of them over the winter? You know? And she's like, I just buy them new every year.
Here, goddamn right,
I thought she was this plant genius, and she's like, dash my hopes about it. You know, Robert was talking about he puts fake plants with his pop ones, and they immediately went and hid in them. You know, I wonder if that is like, you know. Robert, do you notice that your pop ones are in their water bowls all the time? Because that was a problem that I've seen with that. Well, not a problem. It doesn't really matter to me, but like I noticed that they like to do that more often than any other carpets that I would say. So the thinking is like, are they trying to hide? You know, I don't know.
What's really cool is with my colubrids, I prefer flat pieces of cork bark because they're on mulch, and what they'll do is they'll actually kind of make a divot underneath the cork bark, and that's where they will hide. Like my false water cobra do that, even though they have big bins to hide in and stuff like that too. They almost prefer to be down underneath the ground, underneath something flat, pressing down on them. So
right,
yeah,
gotcha. Lisa says those little nuggets of get to see our animal displays their natural behaviors, the cream on top. I think that's why we enjoy breeding so much. We get to see behaviors that we can only witness in nature. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And you get to have the bloodthirsty mother try to make it so that you don't take the eggs. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, well, Robert said that only the one from Dan does that. So I don't know.
Yeah. I will say that what Lisa said about the hunting in the water bowls, that is the most fun enrichment you could ever give to your snake, is giving them fish.
The rhino?
The rhinos, the false water cobra, the Chinese king rat, they just go in.
I remember that
from garter
nuts. Snakes.
Oh, yeah, they go nuts. It's great. Like I would go back when the falsies were tiny. I would go and get minnows for the rhinos, and I'm like, and what's your largest feeder fish that you guys got? And they're like, we have these goldfish, they're about that big. I'm like, sweet. They would hit the water, and this false water cobra, because they had a planted tank, they would just emerge from the plant like the grass, like up into the water, and they would just be swirling around with their mouth open. And it was just
I love how they just
I'm like, this guy,
it's like a sock puppet, you know?
There's
Like
water everywhere. He eventually got the
Yeah.
fish, but like, I'm like, there you go. You were entertained for like 5 seconds, like,
right.
and I've thought about putting like some kind of bubbler or some sort of like water fixture in my rhino tank upstairs and putting like larger fish in for the adults to hunt, but I don't know. I haven't got there yet.
I should have told you to take a picture of your rhino tank so we could share it
Man,
while we're talking about
I'm
it.
pretty sure I got 1 or 2, or I'll just text the wife and be like, take a picture of the tank that's in front of you.
Yeah, tell her to send it. We'll put it up. It's really sweet. It's right. Here's another one highlighted as we're on this discussion, but I'll read it out that stood out to me. The best evidence of a well-designed setup is the readiness with which a snake settles in and establishes behavior patterns. The clues to adaptation are in fact the formation of daily patterns of activity. For example, a snake basts on a section of log in the morning and then retires at midday to spend time in its preferred shelter, then emerging for a basking in the late afternoon. Broader patterns may also be formed, particularly around the shedding cycle, when snakes may soak in water dishes or remain concealed in a shelter or buried in a substrate. A badly designed setup will cause a snake to display signs of stress, such as hyperactivity. I would immediately, when I think of that, I think of like the retics pushing the nose.
Pushing is one thing.
Some, like,
I think just also like up against the glass, like trying to get out, trying to escape, something's upsetting it.
Yeah, and that could be confusing when you have carpets in the wintertime when it's breeding time, because your males will be doing that because they're just trying to get to the girls.
My male Ruffy like has not really, like, you remember last year he was like all over the front of his cage as we were doing shows. It's like now I just put him in with the female right when the season started. I haven't seen him. Like he's not right. He's pleased. So, yep.
And then he says a badly designed setup will cause a snake to display signs of stress, such as hyperactivity, long-term inactivity, poor feeding, weight loss, and disease. The conditions within a vivarium, from landscaping to light and heat levels, must be carefully examined and revised when the snake shows obvious signs of stress or maladaptation. So yeah, I don't know, that was something that stood out to me that I thought was interesting. I think the other thing that I liked about the book a lot was the section on the plants.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. The picking the proper plants for your animal. Yeah. Because that's part of it. Like if your animal is from this type of climate, it would be very stupid to fill it with a bunch of arid climate plants. Like it's
right. Let's see if I can move. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to see if I can share this just so people can see. This is just a section from the book. But yeah. Talked about cork display. That's the substrate. But you see, even he has this natural.
He's a plastic container for sometimes
plastic water.
Sometimes a plastic cup works best for water. Like it's,
Yeah.
You can't always have like one that looks like a rock.
I really like the way. So in the book, the carpet python that he keeps is the IJs.
Yep.
So they talk about basking sites. They talk about actually setting it up, what to think about depending on what species you have, as far as like, where you would have it. And the thing of it is like where this book may be a little bit dated, would be that the technology back then really wasn't what it is today. Right. And when we were talking to Scott on Carpets and Coffee last week, and he was talking about having lights come on at specific times of the day, and this light changes to that light. Oh man, did that get my brain going?
I told Melissa, I'm like, Scott's room simulates thunderstorms and lightning storms when it hits to a certain thing. She goes, that is amazing. I'm like, I know. So it's what I liked within the book, he's just like change the plants as they grow, and he's got the picture of a hognose in a
that was the other thing.
Thing almost disappears. But he's right. Like, this plant works great for smaller animals and it gives them crown cover and places to hide. And obviously you step it up a little bit as they grow. And yeah, you might have to get the plants, set them up, wait for them to grow to a certain size, and then introduce them to the vivarium.
Yeah, plastic water bowls were cutting edge in 2004.
Of course they were.
Yeah.
What was the big thing
oh
is you
God.
took the PVC, you had the plastic little, like the plastic deli cup almost, and then you had the PVC pipe that you put it in, right?
Yeah, so yeah, what I used to do is I think it's some kind of cap that
The
plumbers
PVC cap,
use.
yeah, with like rolled or
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Yeah, and it's like it's probably like that big, but it's
Mm.
the size of a 16-ounce deli cup. So what would happen is, so I've tried many tricks when it came to that in the early days. Like what I used to do is I would take a deli cup and I would cut holes in the bottom of the tub,
Mhm.
and I would zip tie the uh the deli cup to the bottom of the cage because they kept knocking the water bowls over, right?
Mhm.
And especially if you had like a 15-quart tub where there's a little bit of height. If you have
Yeah.
like a 6-quart tub, like a shoebox for like, when you're raising them up, if you use a 16-ounce deli cup, you have there's enough space for the snake to get up, perch on the side of the deli cup, and get in and out of the out of the water bowl. And it won't spill because it won't tilt enough to where it will spill out. But the issue came when I moved up to 15 quarts as I was growing up my collection. Now this is back in maybe 2006, right? So I would use those PVC things. Now I've changed to ceramic bowls, and even now I'm moving away from that and moving into a bigger, like almost like a 6-quart tub right now. And I think Animals at Home did it to where I think that one is frozen. I don't know what's wrong with him. I see Animals at Home. He did some kind of thing for his rainbow boa where I lost that one. He'll have to come back. He did something for his rainbow boa where he took one of those tubs and then he sort of like made it look like a rock thing around it. What's it say? Carpets need brushes and trees, not plants. They smashed the shit out of it. Yeah, for sure. I think this is a little carpets. Yeah, I as far as carpets go, like what plants you would use, I think pothos is obviously is a good one to go at. I think you probably want some, if you can get some type of tree type of plant, that would probably suit them well. But yeah, it's definitely something, and they talk about that in the book to where you're gonna have to adapt as you progress, because what worked for a small snake as it ages and grows might not work for a larger one. So but yeah. Oh, you left me. I was,
All of a sudden everything just goes black, and I'm like, well, that happened.
yeah, you're just frozen like this.
Because I'm
Like,
looking at it, I'm like, do
I think
that.
Owen's
Like,
mad
yeah,
at me.
don't you do that. So I just sent you the pictures of the rhino cage in the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I know you're talking about your water bowl issues, and you and I always differed because I just went straight for the heavy ceramic bowls, which have their own side adventure of I have to scrub them and clean them at least once a week, where you're like plastic bowl. So yeah, it's the rhino cage.
That's
the lights are off in it right now, which is unfortunate.
The big Subaru.
Yeah, I know what's going on there.
That's your TV, right? Probably.
I think so.
Reflecting back.
Yeah, but you can't really tell. But you got the corner water bowl right there. You got a bunch of sticks, and you can kind of see the tree up in that kind of extends right up there. And then you got their heat panel up top, and they're actually probably crammed in the corner in the hide on the ceiling. So
you have the ceiling hides up there too.
Oh yeah. The ones
they use
you
them a lot.
The rhinos, they absolutely love those freaking things. I have to, when I feed them, I have to open it. Like I have to pull it out, like into the tracks and pull it out and set it down on the ground so that the two of them will vacate it. Because if you try feeding them through that, like they're both going to stick their heads out at the same time and go for the mouse. So you kind of got to remove the ceiling hide, let them do what they're going to do, and then you can feed them. Once she's gravid, she like moves over to the hanging plant. So like right now they're in the ceiling hide. Once she's gravid, she kind of goes over there, and it's much easier to feed them. But I have never seen the two of them come down to the ground. They are always kind of up in the trees. Like even when they're drinking, they just come down the branch, stick their head in the water bowl, and then that's it. So I'm trying to add more stuff for them to do to use the vertical space, like more branches, more trees, more stuff like that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that so you just keep it keeps evolving. Yeah, I was impressed with that enclosure.
I think I definitely want to add the larger hanging plant, and I think I want to try to add another one, maybe like at a different level, like maybe add like a chain to it so it goes down a little bit lower. Just because I have a bunch of hides and stuff for them on the floor, thinking like, all right, she'll lay her eggs on the floor, and she did the 1 year, but every time I've given her an option to put them up high, like 2 years ago, she laid them in the ceiling hide. Last year, she laid them in the plant. Like, all right, so clearly she wants up. So I'm trying to figure out new ways to give them more stuff. Like I'm thinking about trying to find a way to add stuff to the backdrop where I can put a plant like in like a cup or something there. So there's a lot of stuff I want to do there.
Right. Yeah. You'll see today where a lot of people will, again, just how it's evolved, but you'll see a lot of people will take those, I guess they use like that foam stuff, and they sort of put the whole plant, the whole pot and everything in there.
Yeah.
One of the things that it was interesting because he talks about design with the plants, right? So things you might not have naturally thought of. I thought was good that he included it to get you thinking. Like, I think he talks about tall plants are usually planted toward the back of the tank, so not to block from the front view. You would think that's common sense, but
here we are. Yeah.
Yeah. You may also want to plant 1 or 2 tall plants in the middle to increase the dimensionality of your design.
That's what I did with the so that tree in the middle of the rhino tank is really just a cork bark tube.
Okay.
That I put a potted plant in the top and then filled the entire thing with the spray foam insulation stuff. And then when it hardened, it was just basically a tree trunk. And if I need to, I could swap out the plant at the top, but I actually got a fake plant to kind of go in there. So it's just now a fake plant with all these leaves sticking out of it at the top.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I think I might have to add a couple branches to that tree, I think is the next step, or other stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, but that in the middle gives them some place to kind of go into, so they can go from the ceiling high to the tree, all that fun stuff. So it does definitely help that way.
I think too, one of the things he talked about was with arboreal and semi-arboreal snakes, there are 2 alternatives to plant placement. Most common is place vertically growing plants towards the back of the enclosure, and in the front, or in between, in front of, or growing plants towards the in front of or between the plants at level halfway to 2/3 the height of the tank. Anchor perching branches securely by stacking them and gluing them, or you can use the hook type of thing where you're eye hooking them. But make sure that they're the appropriate diameter for whatever the species is. Alex, I think, brought it up in the chat, those shells for animal plastics that they would use for the carpet python cage. And I think that's where my idea of carpets not being as arboreal as I once thought back in the early days came from, because they never used them, and I've just come to think that, like, the reason that I didn't see carpets perching as much is because I wasn't offering them the correct type of perch, in my opinion, at least for my snakes.
So I have a bunch of leftover scraps of PVC, and I actually made shelves of PVC in my cages, and I tried it for my false water cobra. So
Uh-huh.
in the one cage, they had the whole ground, they had their hide box, they had their fake plant, they had their shelf, and then I put cork bark on top of the shelf to kind of do that, and they never went up there. They didn't like it. They didn't want to do it. Never went up there.
Right.
So I kind of moved the cork bark down on the ground, and they went in it all the time. I never found the false water cobras up there, but I would put a juvenile carpet in there, or I would put, I think I'm trying to think what other pythons I had in there when they were growing up. I think it was I had like I think I had a jungle in there for a little bit.
Okay.
They would never leave the damn shelf. They're on it the entire time.
Really?
So sometimes it just depends on the species. But I'd given those PVC like sheets they use as shelves, and I also do that for some of my larger animals, like the 6-foot cages. I'll have PVC shelves that are up higher than those bins, and then they have tree branches and stuff coming off of those.
Gotcha.
And some animals use them, some animals don't.
Yeah, I think that's part of it too, right? You're going to have some, some individual snakes that prefer one thing or the other,
Yeah.
So yeah, it talks about one of the things it walks through, like getting them established, getting them to root, all that kind of stuff. I mean, do you have to have live plants in your enclosure?
Hell no.
No, you don't have to.
Fake plants work just as good.
And you can, I'm assuming that it's going to affect, especially if you're using pothos and stuff, it's going to affect the air quality in there. It's going to affect the humidity and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it's one of those things, like it's not a necessity, but I think that if you can provide it, it's going to be cool to look at. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's not bad. And I mean, like I had a bunch of tree limbs and stuff like that, and then I added a bunch of bamboo that I got.
Right.
So, you don't have to necessarily keep with one thing, but you what you do is you try, you add something, and if the snake really likes it, you keep it. If they don't use it or they hate it, you ditch it. Like,
yeah,
I'm probably going to take a lot of those hides that are on the ground in the rhino's cage out, because that'll give me more floor space to add stuff that will go vertical.
Right.
Like I could probably add another kind of tree thing or something like that for them. So, I'll maybe leave one or two, but I have like 3 caves and a tree stump down in there that they could all hide in, that they're never in. They're never in those things.
When you see some of the enclosures that people are doing today, I can't help but be super impressed with how far this has come. I think, I don't know. I think the book itself, like I said, you could probably get the information on YouTube at this point, but back then it wasn't around. I tend to think that it's worth a read.
Yeah.
Just because it sort of gives you the whole thing, right? It tells you about, like, if you've never had a snake, it approaches it from that way. It sort of establishes why he's thinking the way he is thinking and why he changed the way he's keeping. It walks you through just the different life stages of a snake and how you can change from one to the other. I think that's something that we talk about a lot, like, especially if you're breeding and you have babies, and, it's a lot easier to establish those parameters in a shoebox tub, with perching and a hide and all the water bowl and the temperature gradient and all that kind of stuff. But it would be interesting. What I don't understand is, like, with the technology with lighting and stuff, why they haven't applied that in racks yet. Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because I thought about this a couple times of how I can run. My first thing is I've been slowly putting my cages up onto casters.
Okay.
So right now I have 2 stacks on casters, and I have to go and add like another 2. Mainly it's because every once in a while a dumbass that looks like me leaves a cage unlocked, and it's really hard to find the animal when you can't move the goddamn cages. So There's that, but then also it does allow me to kind of move them around a little bit more, and it gets them up off the ground, which means I can clean the room a little bit easier and better. So that's my mission, is to get everything up onto casters. So, and then after that, I wanted to get, because none of my cages have LEDs or lights in them.
Yeah.
So I wanted to try to get it, and I'm not going like, I went and I bought a bunch of like bar lights that you could plug in and chain to each other. And
yeah,
the problem is that I did that, and they gave off so much fucking heat that the cages were hitting 90s like easy when the light was only on for a little bit. I'm like, okay, I can't do it. I don't like it.
So I've been using those Jungle Dawn LED lights that Arcadia has.
Yeah.
They've been working pretty good. I use them in all those.
Yeah, this was more of like an under the it was like an under the cabinet light kind of thing. So it was weird. I didn't like it. I'm selling them all on freaking Amazon to get rid of them, but I was looking at just doing LED, like like an LED strip, like one of those ones that you peel and stick kind of deal. And
I got you.
Like, I mean, how many LEDs do you really need to get the thing to go? Like 1 or 2 to light up the middle of a cage?
Yeah, probably.
I'm like, yeah, like I wouldn't even be. You don't need an entire strip going down like the entire thing. You can do just a little bit. So I was going to try to get into that, but I didn't want to do that until after I got everything onto casters. And then the next problem with that is I have to double check to see what the electrical yield of the snake room is if I'm going to add lights to every single cage and in the racks. I wanted to try to do something where I would run a strip of LEDs down the back. What would that, like, would I have to bump up that? I don't know.
So Richard was saying about how keeping the snake in the tub is the problem because the light must shine through the top. I guess what I'm thinking is like how you have it, and maybe I'm wrong in thinking this way, but how you have it routed to have the heat cable or the heat tape in the bottom. Why can't you do the same for the strip in the top? You don't have a lid on a tub that you're putting in a rack.
Yeah, true.
Maybe I'm missing something.
Maybe, all the way through.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It just had me thinking like why that hasn't been done. You would think that.
And if all you're doing is just trying to supply light, couldn't you shine it through the back?
I suppose you could if you want to give it a light cycle. You know, is that? I mean, yeah, we're not talking like UV. I'm not talking like that, but you know, I think what I'm going to try to do in here when I do, and hopefully if I breed diamonds, is I have those little, I guess they're called nano exoterras. They're like, they're about like that big, right? I was just going to get one of those baker's racks and put a UV across the top of it, and a heat across the. So you're doing multiple little cages with one light. LED lights use much less electric. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah.
Not mine.
My racks are stainless steel.
Mine are plastic.
My racks are PVC.
Mine are plastic.
Yeah.
Mine will be here long after I'm dead.
We ain't those high-end ball.
Yeah, what? The people. Steel metal racks.
Yeah.
My God. Good day, sir. But I that's one thing I would want to do, and that's something I definitely want to kind of work in there. And yes, furniture dollies are something I've looked into. And it's definitely like the racks, I'm getting dollies to put them on and stuff like that.
Right.
But everything else is I'm just building stuff for the casters. It's not that expensive.
Right. So yeah, I don't know. It just, again, this is one of those things like, as we learn more and more, or as, ideas come up or new advancements or whatever, like, especially if you have a larger collection, you slowly over time, just try to improve it in any way you can, and improve keeping in any way you can. That doesn't mean like, I don't know. I think this idea that you just have to like, just change everything, right? Because it's the new trend of what people think it should be. I don't know. I think a little more nuance, right? Because how it applies in your room and your setup, your temperatures and all that, and with your animals, kind of makes a difference. So yeah, I don't know. I just you would think at this point, I just would think that they would have that, you know. I guess what's the kind of the point, because you're not really seeing the animal in the tub. I don't know.
Also, would it be one of those things of like, would it be worth us attempting to mangle our racks to get a bunch of lights in them, or do we just wait until somebody's like, I have LEDs in racks? There it is. We just buy those and swap out our old ones.
Right. Here's the thing, dude. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 racks that are 7 racks that are not in use. I have the V18 rack that's
Do you have any 41s that go this way?
I don't.
Damn it.
I don't. I have it's 28 quart that goes this way.
No.
Always. Yeah.
So I need a 41 quart rack that doesn't go short, like isn't a normal drawer, like short ways. I need it that it comes out long ways, because it's the only way I can fit anything in my room. And I tried to mangle an old 41 quart rack I had to make it go that way. And I thought I did a pretty good job until the Madagascar hognose female met me at the door. And that's not where I left her. So yeah. I'm just gonna make it out of.
I do have one that I built.
41.
It's in my garage. It's 41 quart. Yeah.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
We'll talk.
I mean, it's in my garage.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm gonna have to just build this fucking thing.
It's the first rack I ever built.
Dude, literally, it's the only reason I use this rack is that I can separate the Mad Hogs and the Blue Beauties when it's feeding time, because trying to feed them all together is suicide. Yeah, so that's all I need the rack for, is just something to put stuff in. So,
Timothy, that is a good question. Has anybody tried to put native plants where their snakes come from in cages? Well, this is what sort of got me into plants. To be honest with you, is like most of the plants that I work with are Australian. Like, I think I'm saying this right. Seabill Blue is an Australian pothos. The light in the rack might stress the snake. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Who knows? I don't know. But yeah, I try to work with. I have like Australian variegated. I forget the name of it. I'm so bad with plant names. I thought snake names were tough, man. Woo. And then I have some Australian umbrella plants. I have some Australian ferns and stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I think it talks about it in a book, right? And as far as it sort of gives you like the environment type, and then it'll talk about what plants come from what area. Like, so they'll tell you, it's like, I think they're talking about, obviously South America, Africa, Australia, stuff like that. But they do go through that in the book. So yeah.
I mean, I've used pine bark in my pine snake cage. Does that count?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I need grow up rack.
Everybody needs a grow up rack.
Yeah.
Everyone.
If your grow up rack ain't full, you ain't.
I have to. So I guess when my snake room, when I bought the house, had a cabinet built into the wall and the floor that they used as like a pantry. So there's wood that has been nailed into the concrete that I never thought about pulling up. Right. Now, because I want to put everything on goddamn wheels, I'm like, that shit has to get ripped up. I have to make sure that I can move everything because I have the big freezer in there. So that's on my list of things to be destroyed soon.
See, I'm with you. I'm with Sean there, where when it comes to short tails and bloods and stuff,
they don't
I
move.
think that they kind of like, I know that people swear that they will be better in a cage and all that kind of stuff, but I don't know. I just kind of have a feeling from the natural history and the shape and the that they do much better in that type of environment, like a
If you
rack.
wanted to make it naturalistic for them, you cover them with a bunch of dead wood and mulch, and you close the drawer.
Yeah.
Like that's where they'll be. So
I guess it
yeah.
would be, yeah. Yeah. Oh, and I don't know. It depends on what type of pine species the bark is from, but
yeah, I don't know. It's whatever Lowe's sold me. So yeah,
yeah.
you can get you get the mini pine bark nugs, and it's like that Repta bark, but in a much larger bag and cheaper.
Wow.
So
yeah, I think, I don't know what else. What did you take anything else from it? My favorite part was kind of the plants and
I mean, the talk of quarantine and hygiene was huge, because that's something that I don't think a lot of people necessarily, or when I was starting necessarily, that drum was not beat hard enough when it was something when you began, because there's always the people who would try to do some kind of breed loan, and they take the animals from somebody's collection and chuck it directly downstairs with their animals because they wanted them to breed. So quarantine was nothing that anybody even talked about until after we started making more and more mistakes. Nido, stuff like that. He talks about IBD and other things like that. It's not something that I think, because we talked about how this is a great book for somebody who's just getting into it, who just wants to be a novice.
Yeah.
That's not something that they think. I think a lot of people try to make it as part of your first couple lessons, which it definitely should.
Right.
And with hygiene, I mean, how many people would necessarily say that they sanitize all their equipment?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't even know. I mean, I guess I clean this stuff when I'm done, but yeah.
Right. But like, bleaching all your equipment and doing all that stuff. I mean, technically, if you want to think about it, it should be done after you're done working with all the animals every day. That's the reason why everything's metal. You can spray it down, it's sanitized, move on.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, and that's the big thing, is that we're the biggest vectors for spreading of disease and things like that in our snake collection, because we're not cleaning something. You don't clean the bin that you put everybody in when you go to clean each cage in between animals.
That's a good point, right? We think about, as far as when it comes to that, sometimes people don't think about that, right? They're like trying to be super like, oh, we don't want these snakes to touch each other, but then they're not cleaning out that.
They're cleaning the bins, they're cleaning the hook, they're not cleaning this. Like, you're not wearing gloves. Like, you are the biggest vector.
Well, Rob had talked to me about the glove thing, and I'm sort of anti-glove, and I'll tell you why. If a snake bites you, that glove is going into your body. No, like,
what do you have, tiger sharks? Like, what are you talking about?
Come on, man.
Like, you're right, the tiny little pinprick.
I know, if you're allergic to,
have you been shot through the glove?
Remember who you're talking to, man. Remember who you're talking to.
Are you allergic to latex?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Then don't get latex gloves. You can get other types of gloves.
I don't know.
This seems like a personal problem.
Could be.
What we used to do at the lab is you had the gloves on, and you would do one whole shelf of animals. So one whole side of a shelf would have had a bunch of mice and stuff like that. Then you would turn the rack around, and then you'd have to totally deglove, put new ones on. And then you do this whole side. Because the idea is that if they're on that side, they're kind of really close to each other. It's one of those things where they're kind of too close to each other already. Like, if something's going on that side, damage done. And then on this side, it's supposed to treat it like a completely different thing. So it's almost like if you do, like, you have stacks of cages, this whole stack, and then deglove this whole stack. If you want to try to say, like, but they're really close to each other this way, maybe you do one side of the room. But like, I do all my babies, and then I take my gloves off and to put on new gloves, because then I do all my adults. I don't do, like, if I'm cleaning adults, I can't go back to the babies.
I could have this in my brain too, right? Because I see, so like with working in the food industry for as long as I have, you'll see people a lot of times that they wear gloves and they think because they're wearing gloves that somehow like they can sweep the floor and then go to like make food because they have gloves on. And it's like, well, you got to change them.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
you're
Like,
100% correct. Like,
you
yeah,
can't
you
just keep wearing the same gloves. Or you're
just
defeating
take
the
this
purpose.
thinking and plug it into snakes. Like, that's all you have to do.
So this is what I do. I have a
Alright.
cart, right?
So do I. I have the
And
same
I
cart you
have
do.
sanitizer on the
Mhm.
cart. And in between each one, I give a squirt of sanitizer, wipe my hands, move on to the next one.
See, but there's some things that, and I will blame the woman I married for ruining me on many things. There are certain things that might affect the snake that the only thing that can kill it is bleach. Like,
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
so I
Once you
mean,
started learning about the seedy underground of what's
it's like
really
she's like
going on
Pseudomonas
in the
is not
world.
killed by heat, cold, or anything. The only thing can kill it is
Right.
bleach. I'm like, what? Like, and it was just, oh god, no! Like, and it's,
What have I done?
what have I done? And then she's like, why does the entire downstairs smell like bleach? I'm like, you know, goddamn well why. So it's there's that kind of stuff.
I used to use they used I actually got this tip from Phil at Star Pythons, but he used this these wipes.
Yeah.
But they were like what you would use in a vet office that were made to kill those type of things. They're not like, you know, they're not
just get goddamn bleach wipes. You know, it's
well, it's
just
not those that you buy at the store. It's specifically made for animals. It comes in a big tub like this. I got them on Amazon that were purple. So like I would wipe down the hook in between you know.
And then obviously it's just the like you work the sick snake last. It's like this one, it's like if like it says it in the book, it's like, listen, if you have a sick animal or you have a quarantine animal, that's the last one you touch. You know that, right? It's like, oh shit, yeah. Like that's
yeah.
I would say I do have naturalistic setups in my rack. I have 2 animals that are on naturalistic setups. And realistically, the naturalistic setup is they're on mulch, they have cork bark, and they have a hide in there, like a bin hide that's filled with some moss. And that's just for my Barron's racers.
Okay.
Yeah. So naturalistic if you want to get into it. But yeah, they're not on paper. And that's just because they're colubrids and they shit a lot. And it's easier to clean it if they're not on paper.
So that was going to be my next question for you, right? So I think what gets me thinking is because you're so multifaceted
Everywhere.
in your approach to keeping snakes.
Yeah, scatterbrained. Yeah.
Is it realistic to think that you could keep a colubrid like that that's constantly shitting in like a bioactive or a naturalistic? Or
I think bioactive is the only way to go, man.
Is it?
Because
okay.
Oh yeah, for a large colubrid, like I have bioactive substrate in the Crebo. I have bioactive substrate in the king rat, in the blue beauties, in the mad hogs. Just the only way.
So what's your like? What do you? Okay, so you have back to bioactive. What do you do? What do you do to maintain that?
Springtails, domestic beetles, and it's dirt. It's a lot of dirt, and then mulch and stuff all mixed on top. Where a lot of the other things, like a lot of the pythons, the olives, the white lips, they're just on straight mulch with a little bit of dirt. They're not necessarily. I wasn't trying to seed springtails in there or, what are the little fuckers?
Isopods.
Yeah, there you go. Those things. Like I wasn't putting those in those cages just because
roly-poly bugs.
Yeah, the roly-poly bugs. Just because it didn't really matter. It's a python. It shits in one place. I scoop it all up. I throw more mulch in. We go. With the colubrid stuff, it's just so constant that it really helps with that kind of stuff. But you know, that's another thing you have to try to maintain and you have to keep clean.
So how often do you have to maintain that?
I have to get new shit this year because I've been like I've been, was it 2 years ago, 3 years ago, as I set everything up and everything was going well, and you kind of notice that you're kind of dipping down too low because when they shed and it's not like immediately shredded and like eaten and like scales everywhere,
Right.
it means that you're out. Like the crew's gone. Like there's nobody cleaning. So I put the one Crebo shed, and it was intact completely, and I left it in there because I was trying to get scent and breeding stuff going. And it was still in there a week later, and I'm like, uh-oh. Like, all right.
Typically that would be gone.
Yeah, we might need some more roly-poly bugs. Like, it's like, okay, so
Gotcha.
I'll buy a bunch this year. I'll redo the mulch. So I'll throw in some more dirt in the cages, seed everything, and then that'll be good.
Do you have the snake in the enclosure when you're doing that?
It's dirt and bugs. It's not going to hurt them.
No, I know it's not going to hurt them. I'm just saying, like, I didn't know if you took it out to.
Ideally, what I would love to do is pull the snake out, set up, like, say it was like the snake wasn't in that cage yet. I would establish everything and make sure it's rolling and really going well, and then introduce the snake. But that's the problem, is I can't like pull the king rat out of the cage and be like, dude, just go over here in the other 6-foot cage that I have open waiting for you. Like, and that, so yeah, it's going to have to they're going to have to figure it out.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Yeah. I've never done the bioactive thing. I've never done to where I'm doing, my sister does it. My dad does it. They do it quite well. They sort of have it dialed in. Seems like it's no big deal to them. Like, what's the problem? I don't understand,
I suck at springtails. Like, I tried establishing a springtail colony, so I could just like seed the substrate when I needed to add more springtails, and I murdered them all very quickly. So not good at springtails. I should probably try to set up roly-poly bugs, like in their own, maybe I'll get another, God damn it. Maybe I'll get another tank. Maybe I'll get another 10-gallon tank that'll be next to my fish tank. That'll be next to my 2 mouse boxes. And I'll establish little roly-poly bugs in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Fucking hell.
Never ends, right?
No, because it's like, I'm sitting there. I'm like, Mort does not, like, he does have vegetable leavings every once in a while. I could probably take a couple leaves and chuck them in there. And no.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get in. I mean, I'm not against bioactive, but I don't know. I think sometimes, at least to me, at least my perception was when I first heard about it was similar to the ambient temperature of heating. Like, oh man, this is going to make this so easy. But it's really not the case, So yeah, that was going to be my other question that Patrick brought off is it takes a bit of time to get the rhythm of the bioactive and keeping it running smoothly. I remember when we were at Scott and Ty's place, he had a tank that had nothing in it, I don't think, and he was sort of doing that same thing. But that's where I saw where he had the lightning storms and shit. I'm like, oh,
right. And
he was talking about it with the aquarium stuff.
And that might be something like, later on in life when I have time,
a farm,
yeah, all that stuff. Like, yeah, maybe it wouldn't be that hard to set up a tank somewhere that you could just have a bunch of roly-poly bugs in, and then every once in a while you scoop some out and chuck them in a cage. But that's not conducive right now. Like, it ain't gonna happen. So
yeah, well, especially with you. I mean, you're like a big scale breeder, man.
I almost said it today where I'm like I was talking about how many pairs I'm gonna have, and I almost said the words they're not all gonna hit. Like, I almost said it.
So
I'm like, no, don't say that, because Christ.
Yeah.
And the worst part is that only more animals are going to get old enough to breed in the next 2 years. Like, the number is only going to go. Well, I got to start cutting some things,
and I want a really nice caramel.
I have several. Like, I have several. I haven't shown you this year's holdbacks.
Oh,
2022s.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all really nice caramels that kind of have stripes.
I have too many striped coastals.
Oh.
That I think we could do a swap.
Repatriation? Yeah, all right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Listen, you said striped and coastal. I'm like, yes, go on.
Yes.
Like, it was just
striped, or should I say northern coastals?
I have some northern. I have a striped southern coastal. I don't know what the hell to do with it.
Yeah, you need to continuously refresh bioactive setups, not just the bugs, but also the dirt. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I think it works well with some species and then other species. I guess my question was, do you find it with pythons? Is it different? Was it? I think it would be.
I think it'd be
harder,
the same.
right? Or no,
I mean,
the same, depending
I
on the
think,
species, right?
I mean, yeah, like, if you if you
I
have
mean,
bioactive
your
substrate,
retake is not
yeah,
gonna
but
be
say
a
if you're
bio.
bioactive substrate and your retake takes a massive shit, you're gonna sit there and be like, "Don't worry, the bugs will get it." Like, I mean, that's gonna take a couple days. I
Couple
mean,
days. That's
like,
like
do you have
a month.
like do you have an elephant dung beetle? You know.
Yes.
Actually, I spoke to a guy. I sell them all the time. He's got a pet store in New Jersey,
Right.
and he's like, dude, he's like, somebody offered me dung beetles as like something to sell in the pet store. I'm like, what do you do with it? He goes, you have to keep getting it fresh poop to roll. I'm like, wait, so you've now purchased an animal that you must now go and get like cow shit for it to roll up. Like,
Man,
why do you have this animal?
You must be really passionate about dung beetles
Like,
if you're doing all that.
I mean, yeah, I think the aesthetic of watching it roll up the thing into a ball would be done after the first date because your entire house smells like cow shit.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no.
I think I would be quite content with Planet Earth showing me the.
Yeah, I'm good with it. I'm good with watching pictures. Like, no. But yeah, I mean, like, exactly. You can't expect the little bugs to clean up python shit. But maybe if you had, like, we were talking about, like, the little exos with your like baby diamonds.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be an experiment for sure to see what happens and see how it goes. I don't know. Who knows?
Tortoise shit is nothing like python shit. It's more of like just compressed. Depending on if you ate a lot of grass, it looks like elephant shit. It's just compressed grass with shit. So it's really easy just to rake up and huck.
pH level changes over time and needs a refresh. Okay, yeah, that's the dirt. Yeah, I think that a lot. Well, I shouldn't say. These people that I knew, I think we looked at it that as a way that like, oh, I don't have to clean my snakes every week. Man, snake people are lazy, aren't they? Holy shit.
Oh yeah.
We're always for a way out. One less thing we have to do. But I don't know. That was the gist of the book. I think it's worth the read. It was interesting in the end. He talks about the future. He talks about having enclosures where you have multiple species in one enclosure. He sees that as like the future of the way forward. I don't know. I don't know where I find that there's a lot of debate on whether or not you should keep two snakes together. I don't know if we're going to put a whole bunch of different animals together. But I have been to some zoos where they have like animals just sort of out on their own. I think the Philly Zoo has it with the bird thing, right? I think the Bronx Zoo has it with the. What do they have? Do they have the Congo? Maybe, where things are kind of loose and like they're just kind of like the birds are flying around wherever.
Oh, they have those things where you can walk in and they're like, oh, there are no. Well, yeah,
there's no cages.
Philly Zoo has the birdhouse where it's like there are no cages. Please don't touch the toucan. Like it's that kind of stuff.
Right.
There's obviously that, but then I keep animals cohab year round, and I have no problems. It's just I separate them when I'm going to feed them because I'm not stupid. So, like my rhinos are cohab year round. My 2 blue beauty girls are cohab year round. My mad hogs are in their trios year round. I'm going to get real fun because I have a 6-foot cage and I got a couple pythons. I'm thinking about cohabbing in that 6-foot cage. So,
oh dear. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The Liasis species.
Okay. The one you haven't.
I mean, yet? the one we can't talk about. Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna keep that secret. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Peek behind the curtain. Yeah.
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
I do. You do know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite impressive.
Well, yeah, and also zoological facilities have like there's always the one where it's like, here's a rattlesnake and a copperhead. Like it's like, okay.
Right.
It's always the timber and the copperhead.
Right.
Any zoo in Pennsylvania or any
Or the
zoo on the
gaboon and
East
the
Coast.
rhino.
Exactly. It's the gaboon and the rhino.
Right.
It's the copperhead and the timber. Like it's every single zoo.
Water moccasin and the corn snake.
Yep. Yeah. What is it? They got the gray band and some other shit. Is it the Gila monster? Whatever. So, or it's a Gila monster and some tortoises. Yeah. It's been a while since I've been to Philly.
Since I've been to the Philly Zoo. The last time was Carpetfest.
It was I went last year with my nephew, but the reptile house was closed. And apparently when I went up to the door and yelled, "I'm from MPR," it wasn't good enough to let them in. Like
that only worked when we were going to the croc of death or the
I know. I said, "Listen, I'm from Morelia Python Radio, open the door." And they said, "Who?" And then I'm like, "How dare you, sir?" Yeah. And I think they, something about throwing me out of the zoo, and then I ran. So
we did. So I think the one Carpetfest, the guy that's local, lives around here somewhere. I don't know if he still does, but he was one of the reptile people down there at Go Have the Retic and the Squirrel.
You have no idea how much I'd love to do that. But that would be an instantaneous divorce and I would lose half my shit. So
don't do that.
Yeah, cannot do that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Does the squirrel get replaced once the squirrel? How long do squirrels live?
No, the squirrel can live up to be 15 to 20 years in captivity.
Oh, Jesus. God.
Yeah, I know. I was upset about that too. Kind of hoping.
I'm thinking like maybe they live 5 years. And
I'm kind of hoping no, but one can only hope.
Yeah.
That was on the high end of that, so we'll hope it's that way. So
I think a lot of people have guessed your secret snake.
I didn't see Savu written down at all.
No. Okay.
Oh. Savu python. There it is. There it is. Good job, everybody.
It's not that.
I've sworn off of Savu pythons. They're a horrible creature. So
yeah, what is it with them, man?
They just die. I don't know what's wrong with them.
Must be keeper error.
Mike, 100% it's me. 100% it's me.
Yeah. I'm just a failure when it comes to.
I am a horrible. Like Mike Curtin has Savu pythons. I'm a horrible failure. Yeah.
Has he bred them yet? No, right?
Not yet. I'm waiting.
Yeah.
So I can horribly fail again.
Right.
Because apparently
one of these days you'll get it.
One of these is going to work.
Well, you want to have them all at one point, right? The whole group. Is that the thing?
Eric Kohler and I were talking about this the last time he and I were talking, because next year he has an actual chance at getting eggs from every single Liasis species.
That's pretty cool.
I'm like, dude, he's like, he goes, no one would care. I'm like, I would care.
Yeah,
like,
we care.
Like, I want to know.
Python nerds care.
I'm like, I would care, because he's like, I was this close this year, but he said that his Dunai weren't big enough and he didn't think he was going to get anything from his Savu. But I'm like, just feed him up, man. Next year, just do it. So
it's kind of like the feeling we got when we're trying to find all the pythons in the Northern Territory. It's like, man, we only need one more.
Fucking olive pythons. You don't think about you. Every once in a while, I think about that as I'm looking at mine. I'm like, you bastards.
Yeah, like, I know. We drove up and down Dorat Road.
Wow. We find olive pythons. All we found was a pissed off echidna.
Yeah. We found echidnas. I think we saw. Didn't we see kangaroos? And we saw. I think that's where we saw the Strophuris, and I think that's where we saw.
I don't think it was a Dorat, because it was light.
What?
With the
Dorat Road, we went at night.
Yeah, but I don't think it's when we saw the Strophuris, because I thought that was during the daytime, because you thought it was No,
it was at night. Yeah.
All right.
We were road cruising.
Listen, you mistook a stick for a blackhead. Okay, you can try to make it night. Your eyes were wrong. Like you keep trying, trying to make it. Years from now, you're going to be like, and that's when the blackhead got away from us. And I was like, oh wait, this stick kind of looked like it. Like it's.
In my defense, that stick did look like a blackhead.
Listen, I understand.
It did look like a blackhead.
I understand, but the gecko saved you from hours of ridicule. Like it was going to be hours.
I was like, thank God. Thank
God, that gecko was
there. You little gecko.
Thank you. Thank you, small gecko.
I think I'm pretty I don't know. I could be wrong. It just it kind of reminds. I kind of remember driving down the road, and there was open like, you know.
I thought it was during daylight, but I could
found
be
the
wrong.
Gecko?
Yeah.
No, that was at night.
All right,
100% was at night.
All right, then maybe it was on Durette.
Rob's right now. He's like, what the hell?
Like, you fucking morons!
How can you not remember?
Why do you never remember anything?
I'm old.
The hell is wrong with the two of you?
I'm old. I don't know what your excuse is going.
You're shots to the head. Yeah.
You know. But anyway, yeah, that was the book. I think the next book we're gonna do, which by the way, did you get that yet? Too Many Snakes, not enough time.
Was it on? Was it supposed to be shipped here, or do you have it behind you in the stack?
No. I shipped it to you. I have to check. Yeah. No. Okay. All right. I have to check.
I don't think I got it.
Who knows? Maybe it's still in transit.
Ordered it directly from Australia. Yeah.
Yeah. But the book by Richard Shine, and
that's what we're doing next.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's the one. The other day, the Big Olive, he was doing a series. Pythons relocates are pretty cool. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen a Big Olive python. That would have been fabulous.
I would have loved it, but I'll take the OP over the olive.
Oh, hell yeah.
Any day of the week and 4 times on Sunday.
Yeah. I'll take that OP over the other OP.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess we can
well, I mean, we should also do that other thing. We should probably officially announce Carpetfest at this point, because
I guess we should.
That was leaked out to the masses by somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, like, if only we had known, we wouldn't have seen each other. All right, you know what? Fine. August 12th, you bastards.
Yeah.
Like, so,
yes, August 12th.
Officially, Northeast Carpetfest is August 12th at Eric's house. It's in Warminster, Pennsylvania, for anybody who needs to look for hotel rooms. We will get back to you guys because there will be a set rules. Obviously, if you're coming, we want you to come, but you need to also bring a dish fully prepared, ready to eat for the people to eat. If it needs to be cooked, you are responsible for cooking it. We'll have a grill, which I hear Eric now has that wonderful flat top kind of.
Oh, yes.
So dude, there's that. You may use that.
It's the best.
He and Dory
matching burgers and cheesesteaks.
He and Dory also have a functional kitchen that you can use for cooking for that. Once your food item is on the table or out for the masses, you don't have to do anything else. Secondly, there will be no animals. No animals. You cannot bring any animals to Carpetfest. You cannot discuss with a friend who's going to be there that you're going to have a trade or you're going to bring an animal. Do that at the hotel and leave the thing there. No outside animals are welcome at Eric's house.
No.
Secondly, the snake room will be closed. It will be shut. It will be off limits. We will have no tours of the snake room. That's because Eric never tends to leave the tours of the snake room. So sorry, everybody. If you're coming to check out Eric's collection, you'll have to try to make friends with him at Carpetfest, so you'll be invited back on your own. Lastly, there will be a set end time. So Carpetfest will be from this time to end time. At end time, everybody get out.
Yeah.
So that's the way it's going to go.
Yeah.
Kids do not count as animals. Unfortunately, under the Geneva Convention, they must be allowed. So
filthy animals.
Filthy animals. Children will be allowed. There will be Eric's pool.
Yes.
Will be there and available. You are responsible for making sure all your children can swim before you let them go into the pool. Unfortunately, the only lifeguard we have on duty would be Jim, and he is worthless.
Yes,
so
especially after a couple rolling around.
I said worthless. So there we go. Carpetfest is
no
now
jumping off of roofs.
No jumping off of roofs. All clothing must remain on.
Yeah.
Yes, honey. Jim is just a flotation device. Thank you. So,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, all clothing must remain on.
Alex, we don't talk about
we don't know. No. Listen, the list of rules has grown, and every year we somehow seem to add more. So
Owen is the keeper of the rules. Yes.
I will be making a full official announcement on all the various social media that we have for the podcast, probably by the end of this week, once Eric and I hammer out those final details. But that's it. So it's back on. Obviously, we're going to be excited to have everybody. We do have to fight whether or not we're going to have an auction or not. I don't think we are, because I don't care. So I don't care. I don't care. I am removing all obligation other than Eric's backyard for us. Like, that's all we're doing. That's it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the whole idea. So just so everybody knows, and yeah, Timothy, I'm going to work on a YouTube video that does that, to take me, show my snakes off in my snake room and all that kind of stuff.
We'll have a QR code on the door that if you need to, you can scan that and it'll take you to that YouTube. Then you can just and wander around. Like,
yeah. I think so. Just so everybody understands, part of the reason why I am not having people come in my snake room is because every year at Carpetfest, somehow I get mites, and I'm not going through that again. I'm just
right.
not.
And also, it's
not.
We also, the whole point of Carpetfest, as much as people
is for the people,
right?
And I will be in my snake room all day. It's like 100 degrees in the snake room.
You're constantly showing the same snake.
I'm having, heat stroke. My wife's yelling at me. Owen's yelling at me. Rob's yelling at me. Everybody's yelling at me of why it is. But the whole point of Carpetfest is to hang out and and get to know each other. Right? We'll have cornhole. We'll have sometimes we do like a crab boil. Sometimes we've done crawfish in the past where we have a big thing. There'll be plenty of food, plenty of drinking, good time. We got the big pool out back. I got a lot of room in my yard. It's just about having a good time. And, people bringing snakes into the place. Again, who knows where those mites came from with, biosecurity nowadays with the NITO thing and, all that kind of stuff. I can't, I don't know. I can't do it.
It's not worth it. So those are the rules. If you guys don't like the rules, you don't have to come. Sorry.
Yeah.
But the whole point of Carpetfest was just a way. It used to be back then. We're trying to put names to to faces to screen names that we knew online. It was trying to connect that way. So we can't do that if we're worried about an auction. We can't do that if Eric's buried deep in his snake room showing off another IJ for the 15th freaking time. So we're shutting all that stuff down. So this is what we're going to do. It's just going to be a barbecue for all of us at Eric's house, and that's it.
Yeah, so I might bring maybe I'll bring snakes outside or something like that. Kind of like what you
put the freaking dachshunds in snake costumes, and then people can chase them around.
Yeah,
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
So, like the one year I brought the rough scale python out of the snake room, and this is your snake play, and then I didn't see him for the rest of the day.
I think for newer people, right, that are coming into the Morelia world, it's good to be able to sort of like Owen said, put a name and a face and all that kind of stuff, and sort of get to talk to people, pick their brain. Sometimes there's things that people won't talk about on the internet that if you have them face to face and you're drinking a beer with them, they will. But it's just basically it's just a get together and a barbecue of people with the same type of thing.
And that's what we're getting back to. So
yeah,
August 12th. If you can't make it, I know there were some people who were like, but NARBC is the next weekend. We know it is.
Yeah.
We are aware. We were told that. We were told not to do this weekend because of Daytona. So we chose that weekend.
Right.
Like I said, it's in Warminster, Pennsylvania. There are plenty of hotels in that area. And yeah, we'll definitely come out. And if you want to come out, we'll be happy to share certain reptile things that are in the area. If you want to go herping, we know some good spots.
Yep.
You want to go, there's obviously Philly Zoo. There's Reptiland out in Allentown. It's a little bit of a stretch, but it's out there. It's all reptile zoo. So there is some good stuff around here.
I believe Justin is coming. I believe Nick is coming.
Yep. Justin, Nick.
Yeah.
I think Nick was talking. Maybe Ryan was considering it. I know I'll be there. I can't escape. So there's that.
You got a lot of
Keith McPeak will probably make an appearance.
Matt.
We could probably somehow get Rob Stone to come out, maybe.
I think Rob's coming. Yeah,
cool.
For sure.
Yeah.
I don't think he would miss a Carpetfest.
So
here's my question: is this year 10? Because is this the 10th Carpetfest since we took 2 years off, or is this?
We're 2 years behind, my man.
No, I know.
Oh.
But like,
this is year 10 because we. Yeah.
Okay.
So Nipper.
Yes. Nipper is probably going to be making it. Nipper's trying to get me to fly down to Florida, do some herping, come back up to Pennsylvania.
The week before Carpetfest, is he insane?
Yes. Nah, we were thinking about if we could do a run.
No.
And I'm like, I started to think about it, and I'm like, yeah, that's a little adventurous.
Tell him to come in. I got that week off in June. Tell him to come in and we'll do it then, because I know you guys are going to Utah in May, right?
May. Yep.
You guys are going to Utah in May. I couldn't float
Pretty
that.
excited about that.
Yeah, but I got that week off in June, so we should just go to Florida then.
We're doing a hike at night for specs.
It's good knowing. It's good knowing you guys.
Yeah. So. That's why I've been trying to train you up to get you ready to take over.
As you walk off a mountain, yeah. Just make sure Rob's like, we're gonna have supper and then we're gonna go on a hike. You're like, thank you. You told me about the hike. You know. Now I will have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like it, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a fun time. It's always been a huge hit and a huge success, and. If we're gonna do any kind of auction or something, maybe we'll do it before.
No, damn it! No auction. No
auction.
Snake room.
I'm already breaking
animals.
The rules. No, I didn't say the snake room is definitely a no.
It is just a freaking barbecue. That's it. And if anybody bitches, I'm face slaps.
You're like the soup Nazi from the
This is how
on the carpet.
Listen, Nazi. I will run this ship the way I see fit, and it will run efficiently. Damn it!
So yeah, good stuff. So
I think we do have to do a shirt, though, right?
What's that?
We'd have to do a shirt, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
design something.
Yep, gonna work on that. I've already been. That's why I was asking you. Should it be?
It should be 10. I mean, Nipper was trying
10th
to
annual. Northeast Carpetfest, the OG, the original.
Yeah, I guess it was I guess it is the 10th, right?
Yep.
Because we had the one that was a figure 8, and then we had the year
started
after
in
that.
2012.
Yeah. 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to have a shirt and then all that other fun stuff.
Okay. So as far as the book, The Art of Keeping Snakes, I will have a link in the show notes, so you can just click on it. I think it's like $15 or something like that.
This one was $16.
Yeah,
stamped here. That is not what I paid for it. So yeah, you can find them in a lot of places.
And all right, I want to give a shout out to Cold Blooded Caffeine. What?
Nothing. It's like this. Here's my coffee cup from this morning. This was full of cold blooded caffeine. Yeah.
So the guys are just on Snakes and Stogies, and we're gonna have them come on to, because we want to space it out. I was about to get some dates together, and then they were on Snakes and Stogies, and it's always me and Justin
go on Schmitty's show. Then we have to wait before they come on here.
Me and Schmitty always joke about it because we're just like, oh man, he had that guest. Now I have to wait because
I have to wait.
Yeah. But check it out, Snakes and Stogies. That they had them on there, and it was the After Plague Carpetfest. after.
Well, Nipper made a shirt that he sent to me that said it was he drew a design that was the Carpetfest the lost year because it had the biosecurity like logo and a bunch of shit. And I'm like, oh my God. And I wanted to make it into a shirt, but which I still think we should. I still think we should and throw it on the freaking website. I should send you the thing you sent me.
Yeah, 100%. Let's do it.
Just because it's like that would be great if as we're I'm sorry, it's Northeast Carpetfest 2020, the lockdown year. And it's got, hold on, I'll send it to you right now.
Share it.
Yeah, of course we should, because I'm thinking we should put them both out at the same time. Oh God, hold on, I gotta find it again. But yeah, I forgot he sent that to me, and I did want to put that in there.
You send it?
Yep, right now.
Okay.
As it goes around the globe 4 times and then eventually over to your house. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Hold on, let me get it up here. The lockdown year.
The lockdown year. Yep. There you go. That's the design Nipper sent to me, and I'm like, that's amazing.
I love that guy.
Yep.
It's got that biosecurity 20.
I love it. We should could we do it up a little bit better with like another something that's obviously a carpet around it, or we just release it the way it is. Yeah, I mean either one, I'm cool with it, but
I think it has to be the way it is, man.
I think it has to be the way it is.
So, the way it looks.
But yeah, I think we should throw that onto the thing. So in case anybody's really pissed that we haven't had Carpetfest the past 2 years, well, you can go get a shirt. So.
Oh, I get what. Oh man, it's taking me a while. I'm sorry, I'm tired today. I see what Robert's saying. The after the plague Carpetfest. I get it. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, we can have it back again. Yeah.
Okay. So okay. Well, it was Cold Blood Caffeine. So they were on Snakes and Stogies, talking about what they have going on and the whole thing about what they do. But we have a MPR carpets and coffee blend. There's a whole bunch of different ones. Like for instance, I just ordered, I think it's a Nicaraguan coffee that was processed, the honey process.
Okay.
I'm curious to see what that tastes like. But anyway, in the show notes down below, there's a link. You can go over there and buy some coffee and support those guys. They're big time into bridging the gap between the reptile world and the world of coffee. Who doesn't love coffee? It's one of my favorite things in the world.
It's the only thing that keeps me alive now.
Yes, I'm glad you have come back to the world of coffee, my friend. We're happy to have you.
When they told me I couldn't have it, it was the saddest day of my life. Yeah,
I don't know what I would do.
Yeah,
I don't know
not
what
good,
I would
not
do.
okay.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Well. Yeah, we would love to have you out there, Lisa. I think they usually have one out there on the West Coast, but they've been
they used to, but they're slacking. So,
but here's the thing: I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the size of the crowd is. I don't care how the Texas guys, they like to pump it up and whatnot. The Florida, that Southeast,
they like to sit there and be like, "We're the best." I'm like, "Please, you've had 4, okay?
Shut
your
OG,
goddamn mouth."
I mean, there's nothing like a Northeast carpet. Talk a good game.
When you have to have 3
Some
pages full
try.
of rules, and then you know you've reached our level.
Yeah, that we know. But anyway, we're working on a ton. I've been working my ass off on trying to get Carpet Python content because there is no really good source of Carpet Python content on YouTube, and it's really bothered me, and my mission is to get that out there and make that happen. So I've been I got one coming out on the citrus tiger story. I'm trying to do it to where it's something decent, something good, but because I know on the YouTube channel, we kind of have just all the podcasts coming up or our live stream. So we're looking for something else. But so stay tuned for that. Probably not until March because a couple of things got put on the back burner. And it's a lot of work.
It is.
And I work 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
And
you're gonna have to retire from the grocery business so that you can do podcasting
I'm
full
hoping,
time.
that's what I'm hoping, man, because I'm sick and tired of dealing with the public, man. I really hate dealing with the public. They suck. They really do. They're terrible.
Serpentarium. That's all I keep.
COVID
Serpentarium.
broke everybody's brain. It's just terrible, man. It's just terrible. So, but what are you gonna do? So if one day, hopefully, I'm closer to retirement than you are, so I can live the life like Bill Eagle and just just enjoy life and
Yep.
But so that's where we're at. So stay tuned. I'm revamping the whole website, all kinds of Carpet Python stuff on there. I've been working on that. We're going to revamp the whole Teespring store and whatnot with the swag.
Adding more designs. We went through a bunch that look.
It just takes so much time.
Really awesome, but it just takes so much time. If anybody has any ideas for,
should I share one? I think somehow we're going to make this into maybe. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Didn't we get in trouble for not having a Carpet Python on the Carpetfest logo? Or was that somebody else who kept doing that? Where like everything was like a rough scale Python or a diamond or something?
Oh, that was the Southeast. Yeah. Like this design.
Yeah. Like that.
That's cool.
I do. So, we'll figure out some of the stuff with that. I mean, we're trying to think of some things. If anybody has any ideas or if they're really good at drawing and they want to help us out with making some designs, please let us know and we'll go from there.
Yeah, or I should put that out there. If there's somebody that's interested in maybe getting their artwork out there or whatever and wants to do a design for the t-shirt or the logo for Carpetfest, let me know. Yeah. Let Owen know, and maybe we can figure out something to work together.
Extra work is what interns are for, and it's almost like that one is really good at video editing. Why don't you make him do things?
I am really bad at delegating.
Fine, I'll delegate it. Lucas, email Eric, and he will give you things to do. If he doesn't give you things to do, email me, and I'll find them.
Yes.
God damn. I have to delegate to you to delegate to him.
The more I deal with people, the more I love my snakes.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So
you try to sell the snakes, and then you want to go back to dealing with the normal people. But it's
extra work is what the intern. Yeah. Oh, I already read that. What the hell?
You did. Yeah, it keeps going back to that one. Weird, right?
Yeah. It's just kind of in my brain, like, why aren't the
intern doing things? Yes. Why intern? Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, that's us. MurrayPythonRadio.com. Check it out. See what we have going on there and whatnot, and stay tuned for more updates and more content and more Carpet Python stuff. Don't forget the link for that book is in the show notes, and if you have a suggestion for a book that you want us to talk about, let us know. I think we should have Lisa and Justin on for the So Many Snakes, So Little Time.
I think so. I think that's going to have to happen. Yeah.
So, yep.
Also join the Patreon. We got Patreon streams that are just for you guys on the Patreon level. Also, you get access to certain new episodes and certain things that we're not going to release to you, to the general public. Right now, if you're on the Patreon, you do get Nick Mutton's extra episode where we dive into Red Coastal. So
that's almost finished.
That's almost there. So you sign up for the Patreon and you will get that. And we are going to set up another monthly live stream, which is just us and the patrons. And that's all we have for you guys. So thanks everybody for listening, and we'll catch everybody back here next week for some more Morelia Python Radio. Good night.